What does it mean? I mean, how did it have, like, why did it have to get to this very point, and how best can we handle it?
Yeah, so first of all, I think the reason why I was eager to talk about this is for 3 reasons. I think Nduta's situation is dicey, and I'll tell you why.
And the government acknowledges that.
Yeah, but the government, that is where the problem begins, and that's where I want to start. You know, I think Professor Macharia Munene has spoken that, you know, Kenya currently looks like we do not have a foreign policy.
Yeah.
I mean, the foreign policy is what the president wakes up in bed in the morning thinking. That's not how foreign policy works. You know, foreign policy, and of course, because Prof is speaking after me, I'm happy for him to correct my mistakes as my professor. You know, number one, foreign policy requires of you to have non-interference in another state party. There's a reason why I'm saying this, because of both the Raila issue, because of Nduta's issue, and also because of something that's coming up, you know, the UN Secretary General elections that is coming up. So that we situate the Kenyan problem in a way that most Kenyans would understand. So number one, the principle of non-interference. And you saw the issues around the DRC Congo towards the Raila election, you know, where Kenya was suspect of having engaged in the Congo in a way that was not proper.
Yeah.
You've seen the second principle of foreign policy is the principle of non-aggression. You know, so you've seen lately Kenya has hosted the Sudan something, the SLF.
Yes.
Rapid force.
I'm just trying to break for you the ingredients of foreign policy. Then I land at this particular issue of Nduta. You know, so the third issue in terms of foreign policy is the issue of mutual benefit. That, you know, the reason why you're engaging with other colleague states is so that at least you benefit from each other in terms of how we engage. The other one is peaceful coexistence. And then lastly, of course, respect for sovereignty. So if you look at those 5 or so pillars of foreign policy, you discover that Kenya is doing very badly. And so the issue of Nduta, you know, the reason why foreign policy exists is because that's how the government wants to express itself to other colleagues. Now, Nduta's issue was only dealt with, in my view, the only time the PS Foreign Affairs spoke about it is later today, when Kenyans now were angry. It simply shows you that we have a government that is groping in the dark, a government that has lost its true north with regard to foreign policy. And if we proceed that way, there are many things that Kenya is going to lose on. Kenya is going to lose on because then you become suspect in the international forum. In the international arena, you become very suspect. I think Nduta's case dies as it is. You know, extraditing a criminal or someone who is alleged to have committed a crime becomes tricky, especially if at all Kenya, for example, doesn't have a procedure to exchange procedures to exchange criminals, for example. And number 2, with regard to the crime of drug trafficking in Vietnam. It's a serious crime within the meaning of the Vietnamese government. But Kenya would have handled it better in terms of they should not have rushed in last minute. I mean, it's 24 hours to go. That's when every system is going. So I really think that the reason why we're behaving that way is because you're not understanding that Kenyans abroad, any Kenyan in diaspora, is a citizen of Kenya and is subject to the protection of the Kenyan Republic. If the Kenyan government understood it that way, that we have young Kenyans dying in UAE or in the Middle East, young men who've gone to work, or young men who've been conned in the government or airlift program to become slaves, you know, we basically subjecting our young men and women to modern day slavery in a way that really compromises our foreign policy issues. But I really think that if we do not get our house in order, everything else that Kenya puts its hand on, the AU election was one that we should not have lost.
Okay.